Snow drifted down in slow, dreamy spirals, settling on the glowing streets like powdered sugar on a gingerbread village. Inside the small cafe, warmth breathed from every corner, golden lights, soft Christmas jazz, the low hum of conversations wrapped in holiday cheer. Emily had chosen the corner table specifically because it was intimate and perfectly placed near the window, a spot meant to feel romantic. In her imagination, she and Daniel would sit side by side, their reflections softened by the frost on the glass as they talked about everything and nothing. She had imagined laughing, imagined him smiling in that gentle way he'd written about in his messages, imagined the possibility of something new and beautiful beginning tonight. But now, after 58 minutes of waiting, all she imagined was how foolish she must look. She stared at the mug of hot chocolate in front of her, the one she had ordered because the server told her it was the cafe's Christmas special. She had smiled and said, "Perfect." Now the whipped cream had melted, sinking into the lukewarm drink, and tiny marshmallows floated like small islands of defeat. She traced one finger around the rim, forcing herself not to cry again. She had already blinked away tears twice, and each time she swore it would be the last. Her phone vibrated on the table. Her heart jumped. Maybe it was him. Maybe Daniel had gotten stuck in traffic or lost his way or had a last-minute emergency. Maybe there was a reason he wasn't here yet. But when she flipped the phone over, it was a message from her sister. "So, is he cute?" Followed by 3 heart emojis and a winking face. Emily locked the phone without replying. She didn't want to type the words "he never came." She didn't want that reality to exist yet. The cafe door chimed every time someone came in, and each chime made her look up instinctively. A couple entered, brushing snow from their coats, smiling at each other like a secret language. A family followed, a mother carrying bags of gifts, a father guiding 2 excited children who were arguing over which Christmas cookie to choose. Laughter, movement, warmth. Life continued around her, wrapped in red and green ribbons, sparkling and perfect. And she sat alone, her heart squeezed in that deep, familiar way, the ache of wanting to belong to something, someone. She had dated before, of course, but always the same pattern. Men who weren't ready, who ghosted, who wanted something casual, who said she was too intense when she talked about marriage and family. She didn't think wanting a future was intense. She thought it was honest. But men like Daniel, men who said they wanted children, who said they were tired of shallow relationships, who said they respected women who knew what they wanted, were rare. Or maybe imaginary. She exhaled slowly. Every minute that passed pressed more heavily on her chest. A server approached, a young man with kind eyes and a festive apron covered in candy canes. He paused beside her table. "Still waiting?" he asked gently. His tone, soft and cautious, nearly unraveled her again. Emily nodded. "I think, maybe he's not coming." The server's expression softened. "I'm really sorry. People can be awful sometimes." She swallowed hard and looked down. "Yeah." He refilled her glass of water even though she hadn't touched it. "If you'd like dessert on the house, just tell me. Or if you want to sit as long as you need. No rush." "Thank you," she whispered. When he walked away, she stared at the water glass until her reflection blurred. She suddenly wished she hadn't worn the red dress. She had bought it specifically for this date, something bright, something hopeful, something festive. Now it felt like a costume for a play she didn't get to perform. Her throat tightened. She tried to hold it back, but the tears came anyway, quietly slipping down her cheeks. She brushed them away quickly, hoping no one noticed, but the cafe was small and intimate, and the warm lights made everything look softer, including her sadness. A woman at a nearby table looked over with gentle sympathy. A man glanced away awkwardly, unsure how to respond. Emily drew in a shaky breath. She hated being seen like this. She stood, deciding she'd rather walk in the cold, where no one would recognize her vulnerability. She reached for her coat, thick, beige, and soft, and slung her bag over her shoulder. But in her rush to escape, her elbow caught the edge of the table. The bag slipped, tumbled to the floor, and spilled open. Lipstick rolled under a chair. Her wallet flipped open, scattering receipts. A small, carefully wrapped gift, a tiny wooden ornament she had chosen for Daniel, painted by hand at the Christmas market, skidded across the floor, its bow coming loose. She crouched down quickly, gathering her things with trembling hands. The humiliation burned. She tried to breathe steadily, but the moment overwhelmed her. Everything she had hoped for, everything she had prepared for, everything she had imagined, scattered like the items on the cafe floor. Her fingers shook harder. She bit her lip. And then the sob she had been holding back broke free, escaping her throat in a soft, wounded sound she couldn't control. She pressed her forehead to her knees, her shoulders trembling. For a few seconds, she let herself crumble. She didn't hear the footsteps at first. Not until a pair of small boots appeared in her lowered line of sight, pink boots with sparkly snowflakes. Then a small hand touched her shoulder. She lifted her head slowly. A little girl stood before her, maybe 6 at most, bundled in a pink coat with fluffy earmuffs that made her look like a tiny winter angel. Her hazel eyes were big and soft, filled with the kind of earnest concern only children seemed capable of. "Miss," the little girl whispered, "are you crying?" Emily wiped her cheeks quickly. "No, well, a little. I'm okay, sweetie." The girl tilted her head, studying her with almost grown-up seriousness. Then she bent down and picked up the small wrapped gift from the floor, holding it carefully in both hands. "You drop this," she said, offering it back with a shy smile. Emily took it gently. "Thank you." The girl's father stood near the entrance, anxiously watching, his expression apologetic as if worried his daughter was bothering a stranger. But the girl didn't notice him. Her attention was fully on Emily. She leaned closer, hands twisting together nervously. Then, in a tiny voice trembling with hope, she whispered the words that made Emily's world stop. "Can you be my mom?" Emily blinked, stunned. "What?" she breathed. The little girl looked at her shoes. "I asked Santa last year. And this year, but Santa never gives me one. You look like you'd be a nice mom." Emily's heart cracked open, raw and aching and full all at once. The sting of being stood up vanished under the weight of something far deeper, something she didn't understand yet, but felt with absolute certainty. It felt like the beginning of something that would change everything. Emily couldn't speak at first. The little girl's words echoed through her chest, soft but powerful, like someone plucking a string that had always existed deep inside her. She stared at those wide hazel eyes that held both innocence and an ache far too heavy for someone so small. A child shouldn't have known what it meant to long for a mother. Yet this girl's voice carried that longing with heartbreaking clarity. Before Emily could form a response, the girl's father approached, clearly flustered. He knelt down beside his daughter, giving Emily an apologetic, gentle look. "I'm so sorry," he said softly. She's very friendly. And very honest." The little girl jutted out her chin stubbornly. "I wasn't being rude. I was just asking." Her father sighed, a mixture of embarrassment and tenderness crossing his face. He turned to Emily, his voice lower now. "I hope she didn't upset you. This is Lily. She lost her mother 3 years ago. Sometimes she asks strangers questions she shouldn't." Emily's heart tightened. She looked back at Lily, who was now tracing circles on the cafe floor with the toe of her boot, her shoulders slightly hunched as if bracing for scolding. Emily reached out instinctively, gently touching the child's hand. "It didn't upset me," Emily whispered. "Not at all." Lily looked up at her with hopeful eyes again, the sadness already melting into childlike curiosity, as though she were trying to decide whether Emily was someone she could trust. Her father straightened and offered his hand. "I'm Jacob," he said. "And again, I'm sorry about this." Emily stood as well, wiping her palms on her coat. "I'm Emily. And really, it's okay." Jacob offered a kind smile, a little worn around the edges. "We're here to pick up a Christmas cake." She wandered off faster than I could grab her. Lily tugged on Emily's sleeve. "You were crying," she said matter-of-factly. "My daddy cries too sometimes. Mostly at night." Jacob closed his eyes briefly, as if the honesty of children could be both a blessing and a dagger. Emily's throat tightened again, not from sadness this time, but from something like recognition, as if she had stumbled into a moment meant for her, drawn by a thread she didn't know existed. Jacob placed a gentle hand on Lily's shoulder. "Sweetheart, let's not talk about Daddy crying right now." But she looked lonely, Lily insisted, turning back to Emily. "And Daddy says Christmas is for making lonely people feel less lonely." Jacob's eyes widened. "I said that once." "You said it twice," Lily corrected. Despite herself, Emily smiled, a real one this time, small but honest, breaking through the cracks of her earlier heartbreak. The server appeared with a white box tied in a red ribbon. "Here's your cake," he said cheerfully to Jacob, then gave Emily a discreet, questioning look. "Are you okay?" She nodded to reassure him. Jacob took the cake and cleared his throat awkwardly. "Well, we should let you get back to your evening." Emily glanced at her table, the empty chair, the cooling mug of hot chocolate, the neatly folded coat waiting to be taken home alone. She swallowed. "There's not really anything to get back to," she admitted quietly. Jacob followed her gaze, then looked at her with understanding that felt disarmingly gentle. Blind date, he guessed. Emily nodded before she could stop herself. And he didn't show. Lily gasped loudly. He stood you up. On Christmas. She stomped her little boot in justified outrage. That's illegal. Jacob chuckled under his breath. Not exactly illegal, but, yes. Pretty awful. Emily laughed, the kind that came from the mix of embarrassment, exhaustion, and unexpected comfort. Lily reached for her hand again, and this time Emily didn't hesitate. Daddy, Lily whispered urgently, loud enough for both of them to hear, can Emily come with us? Please, she's sad. Jacob blinked. Sweetheart, we can't invite strangers. But she's nice, Lily insisted. And she needs company, and I like her dress. She looks like Christmas. Emily felt warmth creep into her cheeks. That's very sweet, but we're just going home to eat, Jacob said apologetically. Nothing special. I'm a terrible cook, but the cake makes up for it. Lily tugged on Emily's hand again, hopeful, persistent. Come, please, you can sit next to me. And we can put marshmallows on everything. Emily hesitated. Every reasonable part of her whispered that she should decline politely and leave. But then she remembered how the cafe felt a few moments ago, heavy, lonely, heartbreaking. And now the world felt different. Warmer, guided, somehow. She looked into Lily's hopeful eyes, then at Jacob, who seemed torn between caution and quiet longing for connection of his own. Only if it's not an inconvenience, Emily said softly. Really? Lily squealed, jumping up and down. Jacob exhaled in a surprised but not unhappy kind of way. Really, he said, more to reassure himself than anything. They walked out into the snowy street together, Lily holding Emily's hand like she'd known her forever. The cold air brushed Emily's cheeks, but she didn't feel it much. Something bright flickered in her chest, small but steady. Jacob opened the car door for Lily and helped her climb into her booster seat. Home is 5 minutes away, he told Emily as he started the car. It's messy, toys everywhere, I haven't wrapped the presents yet. Please lower your expectations. Emily smiled. Messy sounds nice. They drove through quiet streets lined with Christmas lights. Every glowing window they passed made Emily feel something shift inside her, like the night that had started with heartbreak was unraveling into something she didn't dare name yet. When they reached Jacob's house, Lily dragged Emily inside excitedly, showing her the little Christmas tree she had decorated mostly by herself. Ornaments hung unevenly, garlands sagged in places, and the star on top leaned dramatically to one side. It's perfect, Emily said honestly. Jacob returned with plates and forks, slightly flustered. I'm sorry it's not more. It's more than enough, Emily interrupted gently. They sat around the small dining table, Lily talking non-stop, Jacob stealing shy glances at Emily, and Emily feeling something she hadn't felt in a long, long time, belonging. As Lily smeared frosting on her cheeks while eating cake, Jacob reached out with a napkin to wipe her face. Their eyes met over the table, Jacob's tired but kind, Emily's soft and uncertain, and something passed between them. Not romance, not yet. But possibility, recognition, a spark of something fragile, precious, and real. Lily leaned close to Emily again, whispering through a smile, Daddy says good things happen when you least expect them. Emily looked at Jacob, then at the little girl who had reached into her broken night and pulled her into a new one. Yes, she whispered back. I think he's right.